there is something I want to ask you about, and I'm not going to, even though I want to hear it again, I'm not going to be that guy and put you on the spot and ask you to recite it. But I want to talk to you a bit about your piece that you did that I thought was incredible on that night. My Father's Skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that about? Briefly, what sort of took you to the point to write it and perform it?
Yeah, it was Brit again. And it was one of their assemblies. So although we do the Black History Month assembly, we do this assembly called the Global Majority Show, which is, we were tired of being called Black and ethnic minority.
I didn't like that either.
When in general, we are the majority, we're the global majority. So we did this, and the whole sort of theme around it was, we want you to create a piece. It can be whatever. It can be a dance, it can be a spoken word, it can be a song, it can be a monologue, it can be a film, a short film around a influential Black figure that you hold close to your heart. Now people did...
I'm remembering it a lot more now.
Yeah, now people did Nina Simone or Chadwick Boseman, or this one girl did this incredible dance centered around Elizabeth Dido Bell, who was the first, I think she was the first woman of color to be painted alongside a white aristocrat in the sense of them being equals.
Elizabeth
Dido Bell. Yeah. She
in Britain or America?
Britain. She's British. From I think the 1700s. I don't know. But that was one of the women that she looked into. And I was sitting at home, I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna write? And I went, I could do my dad. I was like, well, he is very influential to me.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but I see him as almost, and in that piece, I use him as an example of, and a paradigm of young Black British men in general, and the opposition, and not just opposition, prejudice they've faced, throughout the ages in Britain. Yeah. And I thought, well, how do I start to word that? And so I wrote this piece about my dad, but more specifically his skin, my father's skin.
The way you talk about it, I started to remember certain things you said, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's that's why I wrote it, and I performed it at the show, and then I sort of, because we'd done the show and it was over, it sat with me for a while, and I thought, this is a piece that's actually very dear to my heart, because it's my father, but he's obviously, my dad's had a very interesting life. He's one of those people where you talk to him about anything, and he's just done everything, like everything.
Yeah.
And he's had a very he's had a very hard life as well. He's experienced a lot of hardship, and he's come out the other side of it, and he's made the active decision to try and better himself, not just for me and for my mum and for my brothers, but for everyone he loves, and just for himself as well. Yeah. And I'm so proud of him for that. He's an incredible person. And I wanted to I didn't want to tell his story to the point where I exposed him, because it's my dad, and I still hold him dear to me. Yeah. But I almost wanted to I wanted to get him down on paper so that he exists in another sort of medium. Yeah. So he isn't not forgotten, but people like him are seen and heard and can be known, and there's physical evidence of it. And that's kind of what that piece started to mean to me.
It needs to be somewhere.
Thank you.
It needs to be somewhere out there for people to go see.
I'm trying to, did they record Riffs and Rhymes? Did they record the pieces? Because I might ask for that. And
not too sure. I imagine they would have told you if they did.
Yeah, I feel like they would have.
Yeah. Told you, by the way, this is recorded.
Yeah.
Hey, something we can record right now, but I'm not,
Do you want me to?
If you feel so inclined, I'm gonna sleep just as good tonight if you don't. But if you feel so inclined, I'm not gonna stop you. This is an express free zone. You know, this is what we like to do here at the Cassie podcast. So if you feel so inclined, but hey, I'm not gonna force you, you know?
No, there's no forcing, but
no forcing. But if you feel so inclined, hey, everything's just set. It just happens to be set up for you. That's
you
fine.
know what? I am more than happy to. Let me just pull it up on my phone because I
Do,
haven't performed
please
it
do.
in.
Take
Yeah,
your time.
I don't want to perform it and then get halfway through. Oh look, who'd known? It's right there on my
See, sometimes in life,
between an ideas for a sitcom that I want to write and notes from class. That's
legendary.
how. Yeah.
Like somewhere in my notes as well, I have like a paragraph written down of a movie that I have.
Yeah, listen, my notes are made up of it. Like it goes, you know, oh, a new Earth piece. Oh, a play about this, and then there's just one random note that's just a question mark and nothing else. And I don't know what that meant, but
that's okay.
Yeah,
because at some point you will.
At some point, I think it was half writing a text, and I was like, you know what? I'll just send the text.
That's okay.
Yeah. Okay. My father's skin. My father's skin, mottled with melanin, blemished with blackness, a distinguishing darkness that acts as a reminder to those who don't want to remember. My father's skin is tattooed with scars of injustice, timeless marks left unrelenting by an enemy, omnipresent but always untouchable. A nameless, faceless monster, ever morphing, ever changing, that spat on our skin for being too dark and worse. Once the neo-Nazi skinheads of Thatcher's not-so-great Britain, now a suit-sporting, coke-snorting, power-wielding, never-yielding, money-making, pride-taking tyrant embedded in the core of our society, higher up than ever before in our society. This same monster besieged my father in an attack purely motivated by the colour of his skin, my father. Repeatedly glassed in the back of the head, left for dead, laid there and bled on the floor of the pub toilets. My father's skin is embroidered with hands clasped in prayer, entwined in thorns, his tattoos depicting flower petals and great kings' crowns. My mother says he bears them as his own form of penance, his self-flagellation proving he could stand the pain of years yet to come. His explanation is that they were protection, tribal and rune-like, an armour to don before his stretch in prison, reminders of a troubled past. My father's skin is scented with lime aftershave and coconut body butter, an aroma that leads us back to a culture rooted deep in the Blue Mountains, land of wood and water, land of abundance. His skin is stained with tears. My father cries easily, thought unbecoming for a black man, tender and fragile under a facade of black masculinity, a mask moulded from demonization, discrimination, the prejudice of pressures past, but beneath all I see the young boy bringing broken birds home to mend. But beneath the skin, beneath his skin most importantly, my father lives. His heartbeat, steady and true, the metronome keeping the pace of his existence and the start of my own. When I was small, I laid on his chest, counting his heartbeats, steady and true. His skin is a map I have traced with my small finger countless times, awestruck by this tapestry of culture, history, sins committed by and against him. When questioned, always met with the same reply. I will tell you one day, when you are old enough. My father, protector of my naivety. Yeah.
Bruh.